What's going on, guys? This is the Red Rogue, and I hope you're all doing well today. Honestly, I was a little bit worried when I saw that patch 905 is going to be coming out with this reset, and the Serrated Bone Spike rework that Blizzard had mentioned earlier last week hadn't been on the PTR yet. Thankfully, by the time this video is being published, it will have been on the PTR for a few days so far of testing. So, thank you so much for joining me today. Now let's see the new and improved Serrated Bone Spike in action. So as you folks are probably aware, Blizzard decided to do some Covenant ability reworks with patch 905. While this hasn't given us really much time to test it, there have been some very strong improvements to both the Venthyr Flagellation and the Necrolord Serrated Bone Spike. I've already covered Flagellation in a prior video, so for today we'll be looking at the Necrolord rework. I'll be segmenting this video out as I always do, so feel free to jump around to whatever part you want to, and if you have any further questions, feel free to ask me in the comments below, or swing by my community Discord to ask or just chit-chat and stuff. The link for that will be in the description of this video. Also, please keep in mind I look at this stuff strictly from a PvE perspective, so don't be surprised if I don't say how good or bad something could potentially be in like arenas or battlegrounds or anything like that. So, Serrated Bone Spike has gone from being the most absurdly OP thing ever back during the Shadowlands beta to being pretty laughable at best on live servers. These most recent changes, however, might swing things back into the favor of the forces of Maldraxxus. For those who haven't played as a Necrolord before, Serrated Bone Spike is a cheap combo point generator that deals a moderate amount of damage and applies a permanent bleed. Currently on live servers, this bleed lasts until the target dies or is healed to full health. Whenever either of these situations happen, you will gain a charge back of Serrated Bone Spike and the debuff will fall off. You can have at most 3 charges at a time, and they have a 30-second recharge rate. This move does very little damage and currently on live servers cannot critically hit. On the PTR though, things will be changing up a bit. The damage for this move's initial hit will be quadrupled, and it will finally be able to critically hit, which is something I've been reporting since beta that is just now being changed. It will also be considered a true combo point generator for the Assassination Rogue Seal Fate passive, as it will generate 1 baseline combo point, plus an extra combo point for each spike debuff you have active. So for example, your first spike will always give 2 combo points, and specifically if you're Assassination and get a critical, it'll give you 3. If there's a second bone spike on another target, it'll give 3 combo points with a chance for 4 on critical hits. But on the downside, this move will no longer return a charge of Bone Spike if the target heals to full, which is generally a non-issue in PvE, except if something stands in Sanguine for like 20 years because your tank won't move stuff, and totally not because you used Kidney Shot on something you really shouldn't have, and also the bleed debuff will fall off of a target if they leave combat. This is more of a PvP issue than a PvE one, as generally if you're out of combat with something, it's because the group wiped. It does still refund Bone Spike charges if the target dies with the bleed on them though, so in ad-heavy content like Mythic Plus or dungeon encounters or raid encounters with lots of ads, you will be able to throw a lot of spikes. The bleed ticks still do not crit, unfortunately, just as a heads up. Another great addition is that Serrated Bone Spike is now affected by the Assassination Mastery Potent Assassin, which causes all bleeds and poisons to deal more damage. This buffs not only the permanent bleed, but also the initial hit damage too, resulting in a sizable increase of the damage of this ability, even without stacking a ton of mastery. For instance, in Outlaw Spec, the Serrated Bone Spike listed damage is about 2300 at my item level and gear loadout, but in Assassination with literally the same gear and very little mastery, the Bone Spike damage reaches 3000. I doubt this will make mastery a top stat or anything, but even without any mastery stat on your gear, you will still get a small increase to Bone Spike damage just for being Assassination. While there's still a lot of simulating being done by the theory crafters over on Ravenhold, and simulation craft I'm sure as well, this does sound very promising in PvE, especially in situations where you can benefit from the recharge refund on death effect, much like how the Marked for Death talent works. A bright side for Outlaw Rogues with this change, for those that didn't know this already, is that the initial hit from Serrated Bone Spike works with Blade Flurry, meaning this becomes quite a solid move for cleave damage as well as being an exceptionally cheap combo point generator. For subtlety, this might help offset some of the damage outside of Shadowlands, as Bone Spike will actually deal quite a bit more damage than a single Shadow Strike hit if it doesn't proc a double hit from running Weapon Master. From the preliminary simulations though, and as a disclaimer, it is looking like in pure patchwork single target fights, Necrolord is not going to be the strongest choice for subtlety, So I probably wouldn't just jump off the deep end and swap Covenants immediately just because you heard from someone it might be the best, it might not. There's still a lot of stuff up in the air for how this will actually play out in real-world situations. And for those who haven't heard, there was a bug that was going around on the PTR with Serrated Bone Spike and Exsanguinate that I saw a few videos getting made about, showing how it can do like a bajillion damage in like a second because you can Exsanguinate a target over and over. That has been fixed on the PTR, so that will not be going live with 905, so if you were thinking of going Necrolord just for an assassination, meme, Exsanguinate build thing, and unfortunately that is not the case. Seeing these Serrated Bone Spike buffs is a very welcome change in my opinion, and I'm curious how the Rogue community at large will view this, as people have spent a lot of time and renown and anima on their current Covenants if they haven't been switching around a lot, so going from a Covenant with literally everything or a ton of stuff maxed out to one just because of a new ability that you haven't even gotten to try yet can be a little iffy. It's still really up in the air exactly how potent these changes will be, but I do think that this for Outlaw especially will be a very solid option across the board. And for Assassination, with it working with the Seal Fate passive and with the Mastery Potent Assassin, that's going to make it a lot stronger and maybe give Assassination a bit more viability in Mythic Plus, or areas where they don't really have a lot of combo point generation. So we'll see exactly how this all plays out, I guess. Anyways, I hope you folks enjoyed this video on Serrated Bone Spike. If so, then please consider leaving a comment, a like, or maybe even subscribing to the channel if you aren't a subscriber yet. It's all really appreciated and helps a lot with the channel's growth. And as always, my gratitude to you, my viewers, commenters, subscribers, and especially my patrons, who all help make these Shiba Shenanigans possible. Thank you all so much for watching. This is the Red Rogue, and I'll see you guys around.